Most people think it's impossible for them to invest into real estate unless they have hundreds of thousands of dollars for the mortgage down payment. What if I told you that's completely wrong and you could be investing in real estate for as little as $50,000 today, even doing it out of your IRA? As crazy as that seems, it's totally possible. And it's all because of real estate syndication. For anyone who's new and doesn't know what that means, let's explain it very simply. Real estate syndication is like investing as a team who pools their funds together. It's really a fancy name for a partnership because everybody there has the same goal and we're trying to reach the same objectives. You've got the general partner that does all the work, manages the asset, selects the asset, fills the asset, leases the asset, takes care of the asset, and you've got the limited partners who are bringing money to the table. They have a very specific role, but it's very limited. The ability to invest as a team all of a sudden opens up in the real estate market to every investor around the world, irrespective of how much they earn. With the average home typically costing around $500,000 and up, most banks wanting 20% down for investors, this restricts real estate investing to the very rich. Before real estate syndication, only a small number of people could afford the average $100,000 down payment on such a home. Of the entire 3.8 billion adults in the world, only 348 million, or 8% of the global adult population, has a wealth of more than $100,000. Then you have to consider what percentage of someone's total savings could they comfortably use as a down payment for a home. Most of those 349 million people probably wouldn't feel comfortable investing 100% of their net worth into a single property, meaning the percentage of global adults who can afford to invest is probably far lower than that actual 8% figure. However, we can see that over 1 billion people around the world do have a wealth between the $10,000 and $100,000 range. This represents a huge 21% of the world's population. What's significant about this wealth bracket? Well, it's related to syndication because if you have between $50,000 and $100,000, you can start investing as part of a syndication team. Today, real estate has now been opened up to 1 billion adults worldwide who can sometimes get involved with as little as $50,000. And this is important because it levels the playing field, allowing more people to invest in assets that appreciate over time. We can see this is how the rich have gotten rich, and the table below shows us that billionaires store more than 60% of their wealth in assets like businesses and real estate. The blue and light green boxes represent assets, and we can see that people with more than $1 billion store over 90% of their wealth in assets. At the other end of the spectrum, we can see that people with less than $10,000 of net worth on average have less than 10% of their wealth in these asset classes that are used by the rich. The chart below also highlights that people with less than $10,000 have the highest amount of their wealth in cash, highlighted by the dark green box. And as we learned in another video I've already posted, that cash is losing money to inflation. So when you look at this table, you can see that the wealthy have their money in assets that produce appreciation and income, while the poor continue to stay poor because inflation eats their cash. And since we left the gold standard in 1971, asset prices have significantly outperformed cash for the reasons I just mentioned. This is why the rich have gotten richer and the poor have gotten poorer since 1971. This is another chart highlighting this issue. It illustrates the explosion of income growth for the top 1% of earners since 1971, as highlighted by the red line. The bottom 90% of earners is shown at the blue line, which we can see has remained stagnant since the 70s. To put it simply, the rich are getting richer because they buy assets, and the poor are getting poorer because they leave their money in cash. Real estate syndication is potentially a game changer for the little guy. The amount of money you need to get started in real estate syndication does vary depending on the company you're working with, so be sure and check it out. But in our syndications, we start with the low entry fee of $50,000, and that allows you to have access to some world-class assets, including apartment complexes and industrial projects. If you want to learn a little bit more about how I've made millions through real estate, make sure you watch this recent video. I will put the link to the video right here. And if you want to know more about real estate investing and how you can become a part of a team of like-minded real estate investors, you can visit my website at shannonrobnet.com. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more, and I will see you all next time.